Welcome to Manifest Mastery Podcast. I am Noelle. This is episode 59, the truth episode. If you're anything like me, you are obsessed maybe with the truth. And I put that in quotes a little bit, air quotes, because the truth means different things to different people. For a lot of people, the truth is subjective. For a lot of people, the truth is an opinion. So the truth has different definitions for different people. And that's what's so fascinating about words. Words have different meanings to different people. And the meanings of words are changed all the time. We're actually witnessing this happen in America. They're rewriting the definitions of words as we speak. So what does the truth actually mean? And who decides what it means? That's another question to ask about really all meanings of words, like who decides? Who's the decision maker in what a word means or doesn't mean? So to me, a truth isn't a word or a definition. It's an actual energetic alignment. It's a frequency, and it's an all-knowing consciousness. To me, that's what the truth is. The truth isn't a word like green is a color, a shade. It's an actual energetic frequency that cannot be changed or altered. It cannot be denied because it is felt by all, even if someone isn't aware of it. So to me, that's what the truth is. Now, I'm not reading that definition, nor am I reciting it from a book. That to me, this is what I've come to believe truth means for me, which could be different for you. The reason I'm saying this, though, is because I would think that most people go through life feeling betrayal at some point. People feel they've been lied to at some point. And some people are on a repeating basis lied to and betrayed. And in childhood, when all of these interesting emotions and personality traits and neural pathways are formed, when we're lied to as children or betrayed as children, it's like these little scratches internally. That's how I visualize it. Like these little scratches, these little micro injuries that occur internally or in our spirit or in our consciousness. And these micro injuries add up over time. They build and compound like an investment. And these micro injuries they grow like a snowball going down a mountain, and they collect. So when we're micro injured with lies and betrayal as a child, it wounds us. And some people, for so many different reasons, will be able to heal or have very little outward lasting effects from these micro injuries as a child. In fact, they might do exceedingly well in life, be healthy, well-rounded, what people might consider successful, have loving relationships. And I would think this would be maybe not the norm, maybe a little more unusual, that somebody gets out of childhood unscathed without any lasting injuries, especially when they're lied to or betrayed. But I'm sure this does happen. I can't say because I don't have the studies on every human being that's ever lived, but I'm sure there are people that really do okay, no matter the lies or betrayal as a child. Then there's the other group of people who they don't do as okay. And as they go through life, they might not be aware of the injuries because they're not really paying attention to them, but they will show up in certain relationships, interactions, responses, emotional reactions to things. They will manifest these injuries, but they might not be obvious to some people, and they still might do okay, get by and not feel like they have any real terrible residual effects. But what happens is when we're lied to as a child or betrayed, and then we can throw in abuse or trauma and all sorts of other things that can happen in childhood, we develop sides to ourselves to protect ourselves. We put up walls, we become people pleasers, we become very good actors, we learn how to behave and act around certain people to get what we need or want or to protect ourselves. And some people actually have what's called a personality split, which is also diagnosed as bipolar. It can be borderline personality disorder. It can be severe narcissistic personality disorder, manic depression, all sorts of things can be called this split. But when we split, basically we're defining two extreme sides to ourselves. And it's fascinating what human beings are capable of psychologically. But the truth is very difficult a lot of times for people who have also been lied to and betrayed. They actually are not modeled truthful behavior or a truthful way of living or being, or they're not modeled integrity. They're not modeled higher frequencies. So what happens is they learn how to lie, they learn how to manipulate, they learn how to gaslight, they learn how to deny, deflect. They learn at a very early age. And again, this is a protective mechanism because kids don't want to get in trouble. Of course, most kids learn how to lie to protect themselves, but there's a difference. There's different categories. And what happens is when lying becomes so ingrained in your personality and as a protective mechanism or as a sign of defiance, it actually becomes a drug. The lying actually becomes a high. It actually gives a dopamine release when you get away with lying and you don't get caught. It's an actual high. It gives all those neurotransmitters the responses that you would get if you were getting high on drugs or drinking or whatever, anything altering your mind. And that is what happens when you get into lying. So the person who's lied to often becomes a professional liar as they go through life. And if they don't get help to address or uncover the root cause of their own lying or secretive behaviors, it will just continue to get worse, even when they get caught. So even when people get caught in lies, even if they lose things that are theoretically valuable to them, like a job, money, their health, their family, their spouse, their kid, anything that has a value, even after all of that, it's often not enough to keep them from lying or getting help because it's such an ingrained pattern that was developed at such an early age. So where does the truth come into all of this? Well, we live in a world where we are all lied to from the beginning about many, 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 many things. And a lot of us don't necessarily learn this or figure it out till later in life, if at all. Some people never want to believe they're being lied to or understand they're being lied to. And then other people learn at a very early age that a lot of what we're taught or we've come to believe is actually a lie. That also creates a lot of trauma. Every time we learn we're being lied to about things that were important to us or from somebody that we respected or had faith or trust in, or a type of authority figure that we've given authority to in our mind, every time we're lied to by somebody like that, it is a traumatic event that occurs within our body, physiologically and psychologically. And that traumatic event is like more of these little cuts. So it sounds pretty awful the way I'm describing all of this right now, because it just sounds like, well, what are you supposed to do? Or what do people do to not keep lying themselves, or also to be a more honest version of themselves, to really live by the truth? What do you do? Because at the end of the day, who's ever perfectly honest all of the time? I don't know, because everybody, if you assess your own life, your own day, your own conversations, whether it's personal, whether it's your partner, whether it's your kids, whether it's work, whether it's other aspects of your life, you'd have to ask yourself, where are you always 100% honest 100% of the time? I don't know. I know that that's probably an impossibility, but I don't know. there might be people who can say that they are 100% of the time in all aspects of their lives, honest all of the time, living by the truth. But what I'm talking about the truth here, I'm talking about knowingly deceiving people, knowingly doing the wrong thing, knowingly doing something unethical, knowingly causing somebody harm through your actions or your words or your behaviors. This is what I'm referring to as the opposite of the truth. And this is what I want to define now is a little more clearly, because the truth is our intuition. Our intuition is the truth. It cannot be altered. It cannot be destroyed. It cannot be changed because it is what it is. Just like the air is the air, the water is the water. Our intuition and truth are interconnected and intertwined. And I would like to say that love is probably wrapped up in there along with gratitude. And the reason I say that is because these are frequencies that energetically are of the highest frequency. And when we use the word highest, what we're meaning is theoretically or figuratively speaking, the frequency is matching that of which is our greatest purpose, our greatest self, our greatest truth for who we are. Because at the core of all of us, we're driven by the truth. But we often lose sight of it because of these childhood injuries that occur. And then as we go through life, we experience more betrayal, more lies, and it compounds as we go through life. So we lose sight, we lose touch. But it requires very little of us to tune back into intuition and truth. It really does. And love and gratitude. It's easy to tune out of that when we feel hurt and betrayed, when we are struggling with pain and trauma, feelings of betrayal, feelings of being lied to. Now, a lot of people discover that they've been lied to by someone they really deeply cared about or loved or trusted their whole entire life. And they don't find out until much later in life. And that is also extraordinarily traumatic. It's almost like the longer you've been lied to by somebody you cared about, the more traumatic it can be. But there are ways to turn this around. There are ways to get dialed into the truth. The way we dial into the truth is to do it for ourselves only. It begins and ends with us. When we become that frequency magnet for what we want to attract and dial into, we will attract more and more and more of that. So when we dial into our own intuition and truth and integrity, what's going to happen is we're going to attract more and more people who are also dialed into their truth and their integrity. And you no longer continue to attract people who live a life of lies and exaggerations and false promises and false hopes and secrets and addictions. You no longer attract those people who have an endless pit of unhappiness, sorrow, and they're trying to fill it. Where for a lot of people, the high is in their lies. The lies are their high. The lies are their drug of choice, because every time they get away with a lie, they get a high. And to me, that's a choice. It really is. Even though so much of this behavior that we exhibit as adults is subconscious and pre-programmed, we can always program ourselves out of it. And the truth is always the truth. That frequency cannot be changed. It's always there, like the air and the water and the sun. The truth is always there. It isn't a definition in a dictionary. It isn't a word. It's an energetic frequency that we are all tapped into and aligned with whenever we choose to be. We live in a world where most people are living a life filled with lies, deceit, secrets, addictions, pain, trauma that they have never resolved. This is safe to say most people. But the beautiful thing about each and every one of us is we can choose to shift that and get back into the truth. Every single day we can make that choice. Today, I'm going to live a life of integrity and truth. Just today. Today, that means for me, I'm going to speak highly of others. I'm going to give whoever I'm interacting with the best version of myself. I'm going to speak truthfully about things. I'm going to be as loving as I'm able to be. I'm going to be as grateful as I can be. I'm going to give of myself. I'm not going to let somebody get something out of me that I don't feel right about just because I want to be nice. I'm not going to give my energy to anybody that I don't want to give my energy to, because that's not being honest. That's a lie. I'm not going to fake how I look and feel if I don't look and feel a certain way. And anyway, that's just a few examples of what we can each do individually every single day. And when we just keep in our mind that we want to treat people how we want to be treated, it's such a simple premise, just most of us fail to do this. We talk to people in a way we don't want to be talked to. We treat people in a way we don't want to be treated. We react in a way we don't want to be reacted to in that way, etc. So today is always the opportunity to start living in integrity, living in truth. That is the highest frequency. It's wrapped up with love and gratitude. And that's what I wanted to share today. So if you feel you've been injured by lies and betrayal and trauma and even abuse, just know you're not alone at all. You're in the majority, but also you today can choose to live in integrity and truth, and that alone is going to raise your frequency up to attract more people on that same frequency and more things on that same frequency and more feelings on that frequency, more experiences on that frequency. And that will continue to happen as you do this for yourself. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love to hear what you think. Please go to MANIFESTFAST.LIFE, where I have a daily journal for download, which is going to help you transmute self-sabotaging behaviors into your greatest manifestations. This journal was written just for you. It's 200 days that you can write in with prompts. So you can go to MANIFESTFAST.LIFE and get that, along with some other digital download books that can really help you. You can also set up a consultation with me on there and join our membership. So thank you for listening. I hope you have a beautiful day. I love you.